Streamlining Pull Request Reviews with AWS Lambda and cdk-notifier for Serverless Environments. This podcast is brought to you by Business Compass LLC. We are an Amazon Web Services advanced consulting partner. We build and migrate workloads to Amazon Cloud. Our website is businesscompassllc.com. Our phone number is 973-638-2228. Our email address is contact@businesscompassllc.us. Introduction: Understanding the need for change comparison in serverless environments. As serverless architecture becomes more prevalent, ensuring the integrity and efficiency of code changes before deployment is critical. Infrastructure changes are carefully reviewed in traditional environments, but these reviews can be challenging in serverless environments where infrastructure is managed as code. The complexity of cloud infrastructure, particularly with AWS Cloud Development Kit (CDK), necessitates a robust mechanism for comparing changes during pull requests (PRs) to avoid unexpected outcomes during stack deletion or updates. The challenge: identifying changes before stack deletion in feature branches. One of the significant challenges in serverless environments is identifying infrastructure changes in feature branches before they are merged. This challenge is particularly pronounced when stacks are deleted or updated, as unnoticed changes can lead to deployment issues or downtime. Traditional C/CD pipelines cannot often perform detailed comparisons of these changes, leading to potential risks in production environments. Introducing cdk-notifier, a tool for comparing CDK changes in pull requests. To address this challenge, cdk-notifier emerges as a valuable tool. cdk-notifier is designed to compare AWS CDK changes in pull requests and provide a detailed report of the differences. Integrating this tool into your C/CD pipeline allows you to automatically generate a summary of changes for review, ensuring that all infrastructure modifications are carefully vetted before deployment. Why cdk-notifier? cdk-notifier is not just a diff tool but tailored explicitly for AWS CDK, providing a more nuanced and precise comparison of infrastructure as code. It helps developers quickly identify the changes made in feature branches and understand their implications. This tool is handy for teams that manage complex serverless architectures, where even minor changes can have significant impacts. Setting up cdk-notifier. Setting up the cdk-notifier involves a few straightforward steps. First, you must create an IAM role with permission for Lambda execution. Then, you'll set up a Lambda function that can be triggered via function URLs and a DynamoDB table to store the results of the CDK diff checks. Workflow integration with GitHub Actions, automating diff checks and reporting. Integrating cdk-notifier into your GitHub Actions workflow automates the diff checks and reporting process. By incorporating this tool into your C/CD pipeline, you can ensure that every pull request undergoes a thorough review of infrastructure changes. This integration improves the accuracy of your reviews and speeds up the development process by automating repetitive tasks. Preparation steps: IAM roles, Lambda function creation, and DynamoDB table setup. Before you can use cdk-notifier, you'll need to prepare your AWS environment. Start by creating an IAM role with the appropriate permissions to access AWS services. Next, a Lambda function will be set up to handle the different comparisons. You'll also need to create a DynamoDB table to store the results of these comparisons. These preparation steps ensure your environment is ready for seamless integration with cdk-notifier. Executing the workflow, invoking Lambda functions locally and generating reports. Once your environment is set up, you can execute the workflow by invoking Lambda functions locally to perform the diff checks. This step involves running the cdk-notifier command to compare your CDK stacks and generate a report. The results are stored in DynamoDB and can be accessed through the Lambda function URLs, providing a convenient way to review changes before merging. Limitations and considerations: acknowledging constraints of using AWS Lambda function URLs. While cdk-notifier is a powerful tool, it's essential to acknowledge the limitations and considerations when using AWS Lambda function URLs. One primary constraint is the execution timeout, which can limit the size of the stacks that can be compared. Additionally, managing Lambda function permissions and securing access to the function URLs are crucial to maintaining a secure environment. Case study: a practical example of using cdk-notifier for pull request reviews. Let's look at a practical example of how cdk-notifier can be used in a pull request review process. Suppose your team is working on a serverless application with multiple CDK stacks. When a developer submits a pull request, cdk-notifier automatically generates a diff report, highlighting any changes in the infrastructure. This report is then attached as a comment in the pull request, allowing reviewers to see what has changed and assess the potential impact quickly. Setup and execution: configuring GitHub Actions for cdk-notifier. To set up cdk-notifier in your GitHub Actions workflow, you'll need to configure the action to trigger the Lambda function and generate a diff report whenever a pull request is opened or updated. The setup involves creating a YAML file in your GitHub repository that defines the steps for invoking the cdk-notifier Lambda function and posting the results to the pull request. Reviewing the output: interpreting cdk-notifier reports and comments. Once the cdk-notifier is set up and running, the output of the diff checks will appear as comments in the pull request. Reviewers can then use these comments to assess the changes and ensure the modifications are safe to deploy. The reports generated by cdk-notifier provide a clear and concise summary of the differences, making it easier for reviewers to focus on the critical aspects of the changes. Conclusion: streamlining serverless development with cdk-notifier and AWS Lambda function URLs. In conclusion, cdk-notifier is a valuable tool for enhancing the pull request review process in serverless environments. By automating the comparison of CDK changes and integrating with AWS Lambda function URLs, you can streamline your development process and reduce the risk of deployment issues. With cdk-notifier, your team can ensure that all infrastructure changes are carefully reviewed, leading to more reliable and efficient deployments. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Please share this podcast, visit our website, and follow our social media links.